Here's the amazing tale of Elena Del Moral. Stick around to the end for a shocking twist. In late 2021, a young girl stood alone on a busy street corner in Plaza de Orient in central Madrid, looking as if she had walked into the last century. She looked tired, her clothes old and dirty. Her eyes had seen too much misery. She looked around the crowd, searching for someone special. She was looking for help. The girl didn't know where it was. The girl's name was Elena Del Moral, and it was a name that once appeared in every Spanish newspaper. 3 years earlier, nobody had laid eyes on her. Nobody knew if she was even alive. But in the winter of 2018, the people of Madrid had known Elena well. She was a top student who loved drawing and photography. She was pumped for the future, not knowing it was about to flip her world upside down. On December 29, 2005, Elena Del Moral was born in Madrid to a modest working-class family. She had 2 brothers. One of them was 3 years older than her, and the other was 1 year older, and he loved his sister very much. Their mother, a beautiful, dark-haired woman, taught literature in high school. Their father was a mechanic with rough hands and a tough exterior, but a kind heart. Despite his rough edges, he was a loving father who made sure his children had everything they needed. Elena grew up in a small apartment, the youngest daughter in a loving family. She seemed to have had a happy and stable childhood. When Elena was 13, her parents decided to move north to a small village nestled in the mountains of Spain. It was a beautiful area full of friendly people. There were woods and meadows and rivers filled with trout fish. They hoped for a simpler life, a quiet life away from the city and its noise. But for Elena, the move was disastrous. She had difficulty adjusting to her new surroundings. She missed her friends. The new house felt cold and empty. Their home wasn't as warm as Madrid. Then there was school. The students were conservative and withdrawn, and no new friends were made. Even as a child, she'd been quiet and introspective, preferring the company of books and her own imagination. In the new school, she felt alienated, misunderstood. Her anxiety grew, and soon she was having panic attacks. Moments when she would freeze, unable to speak, as if an invisible force had taken control of her. Elena told her parents she felt like someone was watching her, as if someone or something was always nearby. Of course, they didn't believe her. They thought she was just having a hard time adjusting. They tried to comfort her, but things only got worse. One day in early 2018, Elena just vanished. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. She'd come home from school, spoken briefly to her parents, and then gone out again, saying she was going to study at a friend's house. But she never returned. Her parents called her cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Concerned, they gathered up some friends and relatives to start looking for her. They distributed leaflets with her picture, posted on social media, and contacted the police. Days passed, then weeks, still no sign of Elena. Theories abounded. Had she run away? Was she being held against her will? Had she fallen into a gang or trafficking ring? Her family held on to hope, though refusing to give up. They appeared on television talk shows, begging for information. Her face became familiar across Spain, but still there was no Elena. Meanwhile, deep from the mountains of Spain, a young hunter was preparing to enter a cave near the river. He intended to camp in the cave and wanted to remove weeds and debris from inside. It was dangerous work, but it had to be done. And when he entered, he found something strange. Pages torn from a notebook, scattered around the entrance. Most of it was gibberish, frantic scribbles, drawings of eyes, doors, and dark passages. But one phrase appeared again and again. He waits in silence. The hunter knew nothing about the girl, but he decided to hand the papers over to the police, as they might hold the key to solving one of Europe's most disturbing mysteries. Over the next few days, police combed the cave, looking for evidence, fingerprints, and anything that could point to Elena. They found none. But one of the officers noticed some unusual markings on the walls, almost like coordinates. He traced them on a map and discovered they led to a series of caves on the outskirts of town. The police descended on the area, but there was no sign of Elena, no trace of her. The case was closed and the mystery deepened. What had happened to the teenager? Had she really vanished into thin air? In the months that followed, the press began to speculate. Some believed Elena had escaped and started a new life somewhere else. Others suggested she'd been kidnapped by a villager, perhaps. And one theory, whispered but never confirmed, claimed that a man from the village was seen following her home from school. But there was no evidence. Everyone moved on, but her family never forgot. Then on October 18, 2021, security personnel at the Royal Palace in Madrid's Plaza de Orient spotted a young girl standing frozen in the middle of the square. She seemed lost. People hurried past, oblivious to her distress. The guards approached her cautiously. She looked scared and slowly raised her head. Her eyes were tearing silently. Her dark hair fell over her shoulders, partially hiding her face, and she fell to the ground, exhausted, as if she had been walking for days. The guards couldn't see how old she was, maybe 14, maybe 16, but it was clear she needed help. The girl didn't respond right away. She kept silent, staring at the ground. The guards persisted, trying to get her to talk. Finally, when one officer knelt down to be closer to her level, when asked for identification, she replied, "I don't have any. I can't remember my name either. I think it's Elena." The officers didn't believe her at first, but when they checked the fingerprint database, they found a match. It was Elena Del Moral, the missing girl who disappeared 3 years before. After she was transferred to the hospital, it was the forensic doctor who informed her family of the news. "Sir, I want to tell you that your daughter Elena is alive," he said, his voice trembling with emotion. "We found her. She's in Madrid." After 3 years in captivity, Elena finally felt safe. She was undergoing therapy to help her recover from her ordeal. Slowly but surely, she began to remember fragments of the past. Memories of a man's voice, a locked room, a camera always pointed at her. Her mind hid the painful memories, but slowly, the truth of her captivity emerged. And then one day, Elena remembered the name of her captor, Francisco Arc. Who was he? Why had he done what he did? According to investigators, Francisco Arc was an introverted and isolated person. Neighbors described him as a polite man who always said hello. He was active in the church choir and attended Mass every Sunday. But behind the facade, investigators discovered a sinister side, a secret world of darkness and obsession. As detectives dug deeper into Francisco's life, they uncovered a trail of disturbing secrets. His diaries contained dark fantasies and disturbing drawings. Maps showed locations of the homes of women he'd stalked, including Elena's house in the village. He'd taken hundreds of pictures of her without her knowledge. He'd even recorded videos of her playing outside her house. The police watched in horror as Francisco sat calmly in his chair while Elena ran or played, unaware of his gaze. But why had he chosen Elena? Well, according to psychiatrist Dr. Maria Dolores de los Heras, Francisco had a particular interest in Elena because she was artistic. He saw her drawing one day and thought she was very sensitive. He wanted to mold her sensitivity to his own ends, impose his own values on her. During the trial, Francisco Arce's lawyer insisted he never meant to hurt anyone. He just wanted to help her out. But the judge wasn't convinced. The evidence was overwhelming. Francisco got life in prison for kidnapping and other crimes. Elena now enjoys a peaceful life away from the spotlight. Still artistic, she spends hours painting, creating works full of symbolism and emotion. She's also written several short stories, which have been published in literary magazines. Although haunted by nightmares and struggling with trust issues, she's determined to move forward. It's hard to describe what it feels like to wake up every morning and not know if it's real, she says. If you close your eyes, you can see all sorts of things. It's like reliving a nightmare, but I'm learning to live with it. In addition to painting and writing, Elena has founded a foundation and association for survivors of kidnapping and long-term trauma. Through her work, she hopes to help others who've suffered as she has and raise awareness about the lasting effects of trauma. "I want people to know that it's not your fault," she says, "that it's not your fault that you feel this or that way. And I want them to know that they're not alone." Elena's story reminds us that evil is often hidden in plain sight, that some mysteries take decades to solve, and that, even after years lost in the dark, there is still a way back into the light. Now it's time for you to tell me, what do you think? Write in the comments below. This is Suspense Core. Subscribe for more suspenseful mysteries.